Line of battle. Line of battle is about naval warfare between 1500 and 1918, the time that guns were the dominant weapons at sea. From 1500 onwards, the development of guns changed fighting at sea into naval warfare. Before the development of guns, ordinary ships just took armed men aboard and fought in a similar way to on land, as for example at the Battle of Sluys, the first battle of the 100 Years' War. This meant that the main tactic was boarding and fighting was mainly hand-to-hand. The introduction of guns made an immediate difference, but they did not lead directly to line of battle tactics. It will be just over 150 years between the line of battle's introduction and its adoption as the standard battle formation. Line of battle traces the development of naval warfare using big or great guns. Of course, this includes the tactics of the Age of Sail. After the Age of Sail, both guns and ships changed radically as line of battle ships became battleships. The story concludes after line of battle tactics had a resounding finale in the early 20th century. Then other weapon systems surpassed the big guns. Part 1. Defensive line Bombarderos. In 1501, the line of battle was first used by the Portuguese as a defensive tactic to repel attackers who were trying to board their ships. The Portuguese were pioneers in trade and exploration. They built an empire in the Americas and Africa based on trade, including spices such as pepper. They reached India in 1498. They used naval cannon to protect their trade interests, especially their annual armadas to India. These armadas were armed fleets of trading ships. The Portuguese were well aware of developments in guns because they acquired every innovation in naval artillery wherever it originated. In 1500, the King of Portugal, Manuel I, gave specific orders to the commander of a Portuguese armada bound for India. He instructed them to form themselves into a single line and fire on one side, then to turn about and return while firing the other side. They did this at the Battle of Cannanore on the 31st of December 1501. 4 Portuguese carracks formed line against the local ruler, the Zamorin of Calicut's fleet of over 200 vessels. These were smaller praus and zambucs, which were trying to prevent them from leaving the Bay of Cannanore. The Portuguese again formed a line of battle at Calicut in 1502, this time against hired Arab privateers and local craft. Their gunnery enabled them to repel their attackers. Later, in 1555, the Portuguese theorist Fernão de Oliveira was still boasting that the Portuguese fight at a distance as if from walls or fortresses. The Portuguese were leaders in ship development as well as tactics. They used 2 main types, the nau and the caravel. The nau, which means ship in Portuguese, was a version of the carrack, a 3-masted vessel of Mediterranean origin. The fore and main masts had square mainsails and topsails. The third, or mizzen mast, had a fore and aft triangular sail, also known as a lateen. The carrack was deep and broad with a high stern castle and a high forecastle which extended out over the bow. These castles had 3 or 4 decks and were fitted with gun ports, which also covered the waist of the ship in case they were boarded. The larger naus became the cargo ships, and the caravels scouts and escorts. Ports for heavy guns were built into the hulls of ships of both types. The carrack might carry 6 heavy guns, the caravel 4. Caravels were more manoeuvrable and could switch from lateen to square rig on their fore and main masts. Both types had light guns, such as swivels, on their upper decks.